I am live on YouTube. Peace to the gods. Peace to the gods. Hope everyone doing well out there tonight. You know what I mean? I know I am. I'm doing wonderful, magnificent, and great. I played that clip, Stick to the Strip. I was doing a consultation with a brother for his Express Trust because I'm doing his Express Trust here in Georgia. And for anyone who wants their Express done and I want me to do it, hit me up at jonahbay.com and put down Express Trust, and I'll get that done for you. As you know, if you're trying to cash in securities, you're going to have an Express Trust that's on the private side that can collect the units or the money from the securities. But anyway, it's like, yo, I changed my paperwork. I got my foreign trustee. And I'm like, yo, the paperwork I gave you, the template, didn't say nothing about no foreign trustee. Do what the paperwork say. Do a regular trustee. How in the world are you gonna have a foreign trustee? Your foreign trustee is gonna come to America and open up your bank account for you? Of course not. You need a regular trustee and then switch it to a foreign trustee so that the trust is now 100% foreign, out of the reach of all courts in the United States. That's how that works. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't work that you get a foreign trustee from the beginning. No, you get a regular trustee, get some things done, and then you switch it to the foreign trustee. All right. And Shaka was on the build yesterday. He pulled out an oldie but goodie. He pulled out the trust I showed y'all how to do, a car trust. Now, in that car trust, I showed y'all how to get a 508 religious unincorporated association. You don't need the IRS to give you tax exemption or none of that. You automatically got it if you follow the trust that I showed you inside the car trust webinar. But anyway, he was like, all right, I won't send that. I'll put it back to the regular trustee and send it to you so you can file it. I'm like, yeah, do that. And I was like, yo, you know I play that audio, follow the script. Follow the script. Stop trying to get smart and change shit up and shorten shit and all that. Everything is done for a reason. And you probably don't even know the reason why I said do it that way, but you got to do it that way. You know what I mean? If you go back and study it, it's all according to the IRS manual. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, welcome to Consultation Wednesday, where I answer y'all's questions. So, but first, I got someone who wants to do a testimony. And this testimony is for a lot of different things, but specifically for motherfucking arbitration. And I didn't even put the lesson out, but I'm helping him and his family members do arbitration because they're going through it right now. Okay, 530 426. 530-426. Peace to the God. Peace.
Peace to the God. Peace to the God.
Is today Monday? Today is Monday. Oh, my bad. I'm fucking up. Today is Monday. This ain't Consultation Wednesday.
Hey, I'm going to stick to whatever you said.
Consultation Monday. I put it in wrong. My bad.
You gotta laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
That's good.
I made a mistake. My bad.
Peace. I'll start off with give you some flowers. I really appreciate you, Jonah. You really help, and I know that your heart is in the right place. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Some people get mad at me when I get on them. I only get on them to make sure they get the win that they want. But tell us what's going on with you. What are you thanking me for?
All right, so yeah, I encourage you guys to get on the Patreon too, so you'll see when we're talking about arbitration. We're really getting into how to get after money that they never compensated you for. In this particular case, we had we were being sued for an outstanding balance on a credit card,
Okay.
and the way Jonah was teaching it based on his credit card was um, they had to go to arbitration, and it was mandatory. In this particular case, you had to elect to go to arbitration, which is their words in their terms and conditions. Well, we just
So
hadn't been
elect.
answering for a
What
while.
does the word elect mean?
Elect means that you have to choose to do it. You want a definition?
Okay, choose to do it. So the difference between your contract and my contract was it was mandatory, and for your contract, you had to choose to do it.
Right. It was a choice to either sue or you had to elect to go to arbitration. And since we didn't elect to go to arbitration, they chose to sue.
Okay.
Right. So since they were choosing to sue, I like to say they chose violence. We had to respond. And our response was basically that we're electing to do arbitration, and we stated where they had fraud in their contract. And after we put it into the case, the judge within 12 hours shut down the case and said basically you're doing arbitration, and it's in the contract because that's what they put in there.
Now, so I'm not gonna lie, Marlon.
There's no more lawsuit.
Since I know what went on, you didn't say nearly enough stuff. You left out so much.
Okay. What do you want to hear from me?
You left out the fact that's not the first thing you did.
I hear you. So, are you talking about the initial set of paperwork that we put in?
Yeah, tell us about everything that you did. You gave us, in the end, you got it out of court and moved to arbitration, but you didn't give us, you didn't even say nothing about they had a default summary judgment that they put in on you, and it was about to be done in a day or two just before Christmas. You didn't talk about how y'all answered before and it was the wrong answer. You ain't telling me shit.
All right, I'll go A to Z if I'm too much. So what happened was we tried to use it the same way that Jonah used it. We said that it was mandatory, and it wasn't. You had to elect to do it, and that was the first set of paperwork that went out. So
how did they answer that paperwork?
Disregarded what we put in. I'm sorry, what?
How did they answer that paperwork once you put it in and it was wrong because it wasn't according to your contract?
I don't know how they disregarded it, but then they started moving forward to a summary judgment. Is that the answer?
That's how they answered it.
Okay.
They answered. You put in paperwork. You put in paperwork that did not apply to your own contract. So they answered it with a summary judgment, and they put in the terms and conditions to prove what they were saying was they had the right to go to court. And y'all tried to say that they didn't have subject matter jurisdiction, and basically they said they did, and there was no controversy at hand, so they should receive summary judgment. You don't remember that?
Right. I do, yes.
Well, you got me telling the story.
The only way to pull it back was to elect for arbitration because they elected to sue.
Nah, that ain't the only way.
We had to use
That ain't the only way. An unrebutted affidavit stands as what?
It stands as truth in the law.
And the first reply, you never rebutted their affidavit. Marlon,
correct.
you are a terrible storyteller.
That's why I'm not the teacher. But hey, we getting this done.
So, what
So
did I
yes,
show you on
in our
how to
response,
how did you know how to reply to them properly this time?
so we went through Rule 8 extensively, and we had to. You made me understand that you really have to respond to them in the manner in which they receive it in order to get your remedy,
So in
and
rule
also
8,
the terms and conditions.
in rule 8 of the Federal Rules of
Yep.
Procedures, number 1, he had to answer their affidavit. And I made him go through line by line. He had to write out the whole affidavit, then space between each sentence or paragraph where they said something, and then he had to put down plaintiff denies. Then he went to the second sentence, and if he agreed, he said, defendant agrees. Then he went to the third sentence, and it wrote what that sentence said, and then said, defendant denies. And he had to go on and so forth. And then Rule 8 says you had to do more explicit explanations. And then he started breaking down why he was denying. And he said that he had an original application. And that original application, according to 8 USC 18 or 18 USC 8, that the
Yep.
application is a security. A security is cash, money. And he never got any consideration because if he gave him an application, the application was the money which would have prepaid. Now, can you do me a favor, Marlon? Tell your story without me telling it.
I appreciate it. So yes, and for each of those, there were about 9 denials that we had to do. And like as he always teaches, you have to go line by line and deny it. And if you deny it, you have to give a brief explanation as to why you deny. And then in the next section, in Rule 8, you have to state the reasons for your defenses. So we use 3 different reasons, like what he was just saying. Failure of consideration, fraud, and misrepresentation is what we use.
And that's all a part of Rule 8,
So,
isn't it?
yes, it is.
So
So
then,
those are the reasons that we use for our defense.
So you're telling me,
Correct.
so
And we know it's not because you said it, you just pointed out where it
yeah.
was.
So when I seen your first reply, tell them what I said about your reply.
Well, you said that my reply was ish. You catch what I'm
Shit.
saying? You said it was shit.
It was a piece of shit,
And that's
man.
when we started to work.
It was a piece of shit. And it wouldn't work the way it was written. How many times did I make you go back and do it over, though? How many times before you got to the one that looked like a damn lawyer wrote it?
It was at least right. It was at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And to go along with rewriting it was getting fussed at a few times. So I mean, I would count that as another 2 or 3 times. But yeah, eventually we got there, and it's looking good.
So I fussed with you to make it get right.
Yes.
And I mean, I gotta. Do you have that reply from the judge? Can you read that to us?
Give me a quick second. I'll get that for you.
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Basically, it was a one pager that the judge wrote, and he gave an order just before he closed down the case. It says, orders. The above style action came regularly before the court on plaintiff's motion for summary judgment. So they had us all the way down.
Yeah, they had you done, man. Summary judgment. The only thing that stopped that summary judgment, we read his contract. His contract, terms and agreements said they can take it to arbitration up until final judgment decree is done. And there was no final judgment decree. We pointed that out when we replied. And we also sent an actual copy of the terms and agreements and highlighted the parts we were talking about. Go ahead.
And it says, motion for summary judgment and defendant's request for arbitration. Only plaintiff was represented by counsel. After considering the applicable record, the court hereby issues the following ruling. In the action arising from an outstanding account, the plaintiff moves presently for summary judgment, relying on a submitted affidavit. That was our affidavit. Defendant has responded to this motion requesting that the court enforce an arbitration provision that purportedly governs this cause of action. The last paragraph, as the defendant has submitted a claim notice, which is what you have to do in order to go to arbitration. It says, as the defendant has submitted a claims notice in compliance with the card number agreement, and the present dispute is within the scope of arbitration clause, the court hereby grants the motion, stays this action, and refers this matter to arbitration. Plaintiff's motion for summary judgment is consequently moot.
Ooh, wee. So first they said, first thing I noticed about that was the court made it known that the defendant didn't have a lawyer. She did it herself. And the plaintiffs had a lawyer, which was American Express, had their lawyers. So they pointed out how a regular person beat the lawyers. Then they said that y'all did answers to all their things. And then it broke down that you answered by bringing up the card member agreement and pointed out the things from the card member agreement, and it was correct. And then they said American Express summary judgment is moot. So that's legal talk. What does moot mean? So let's look up the word moot. Moot.
Moot definition. Go ahead.
Having little or no practical relevance. Typically because the subject is too uncertain to allow a decision. Moot basically means nothing that they said mattered because they had to go by the actual card member agreement. And the only one that followed the card member agreement was the defendant, my man right here. They followed it to the T, and the judge awarded them and closed down the case. Now, let me ask you this. Since y'all talked about the original contract, the application was the money that you gave them. Do you believe they're going to give you that application when y'all go to arbitration?
No.
Now you asked
you
asked another credit card provider, Discovery, for the application. You ain't even in court with them yet. What was their reply to you today?
I give it to you exactly how it came. Yeah, they it says called Discovery said waited on 30 minutes after being transferred 5 times they did not give the information out for the protection of the company.
So the company said, we're
subpoena.
not giving you the application because we're protecting ourselves. And then didn't they say something about if you want it, you got to subpoena it?
Subpoena. They said that's the only way to get it.
Right? So we already know that. And the first thing I told you when y'all got put into arbitration, I said, yo, you got to look up the rules of subpoena for arbitration. Why? Because you're going to have to subpoena the actual application. The application has the fraud in it. Now, if y'all go to my Patreon page, me or Shaka's Patreon page, and you just go to Patreon and put in Jonah Bay for my Patreon page. Shaka's is the $1 billion bill. You put that in. Anyway, you'll see part 1 and part 2. I showed the American Express application. There is fraud in the application from the beginning. You have to agree to that application to go into the terms and agreements of the credit card. So the main thing you got to find in most cases is your application, and pair that up with the terms of the agreement, and you will have the fraud. And you can only bring up what's in the application and the terms of the agreement. So this is why Discover Card said, nah, we ain't giving you that application. We're trying to protect ourselves. They don't want you to point out the fraud of how they stole money from you and gave you no consideration. So we're going to put up, by the end of this week, we're putting in part 3 of the ABCs of arbitration part 3. It'll be up there Friday. Y'all get to check it out. Y'all seeing how the law works each and every time if you use it correctly. Now, Marlon, you've been working on some other things. Another case.
Correct.
And we talked today. And when we talked today, I was showing you how the way you responded with arbitration is basically the same way you respond when it comes to a court case. And I also was breaking down how the state does not have a constitutional challenge. What do they have in lieu of a constitutional challenge? And actually, this existed before a constitutional challenge. What is it?
It's called a habeas corpus.
Habeas corpus. And I asked you, I said, you know what a habeas corpus is? And you said something, and I said, it sounds like you guessing. Why don't you just look it up? So when you looked it up, what did you find? I know I got you on the spot. I didn't tell you I was going to do none of this.
Yeah, I think you like doing that.
Yes, I do.
It's fine. So
I got to act like you never did it before.
But I already. Well, I haven't done that before. But habeas corpus, when we looked at the definition, we specifically went on the right of a citizen to obtain a writ of habeas. That was the wrong one.
In the dictionary, Oxford language, it says a writ requiring a person under arrest to be brought before a judge or into court, especially to secure the person's release, unless lawful grounds are shown for their detention. And then it says, number 2 sentence, the legal right to apply for a habeas corpus. Now, that's what people believe it means. It means more than that. It means more than that. So if you look up habeas corpus in Weck's law, It says a writ of habeas corpus primarily acts as a writ of inquiry issued to test the reasons or the grounds for the restraint or the detention. So, just off the Westlaws dictionary, then I'm going to do Wikipedia, habeas corpus. The writ of habeas corpus was described in the 18th century by William Blackstone as a great and efficacious writ in all matters of illegal confinement. That's the one I liked, and it came from Blackstone's, and it's from the Corpus Act of 1679. I try to find that old stuff, right? Now, what it tells you is if they illegally locked you up, you can do a habeas corpus. Now, what is considered illegal? Anything that's not lawful. What is lawful? Lawful is what the Constitution says. The Constitution is the contract. So you're going to use Rule 8 to bring out the contract, to bring out the actual Constitution of what they violated specifically. So I broke down how, all right, Constitution says for you to get locked up, they must have an affidavit in support of a warrant. So they need a warrant plus an affidavit in support of that warrant to lock you up. If they lock you up without it, that's an illegal confinement, a legal arrest, right? Now, also, the Constitution says that you have the right to have a copy of the claims against you. You have the right to face your accuser in person, in court. Compel testimony and have the right to get your own witnesses to testify on your behalf, right? The problem is, on the paper, it says the state of Georgia against you. You could never meet your accuser because the state of Georgia is a corporation. State of California, corporation. New York, corporation. So, on the state level, you're supposed to do a writ of habeas corpus, use Rule 8 to specifically deny all of that shit and say why you're denying it, because it didn't follow this part of the Constitution. It didn't follow that part of the Constitution. It didn't. You see what I'm saying? This is how you get people out of jail. Writ of habeas corpus, showing that they didn't follow the Constitution. That's the same thing he just did on his arbitration in court case dealing with the credit card. The credit card terms and conditions is the same as the Constitution, and he used Rule 8 to break down each part to either deny or affirm specifically, and wrote down how they violated terms and agreements. So you're going to show they violated the Constitution. That's the way you do it. So, with that being said, let me open up the call lines and see what people hang out with me, Marlon. Let's see if they got any questions for you. But let me open the call lines, see if they understand that. I'm going to 562-588. Peace to the God. Peace.
Peace to the gods.
Peace.
Man, that's really fascinating. Thanks, Marlon, for bringing that up, man.
Peace.
And my only question was, because they said it's a stay, right, or mute, and you're going into arbitration. It seemed like you answered it, Jonah, but the question I had was like, if you going back, if they're sending you back to arbitration, then you're in arbitration, then they have a ruling like, because they're not gonna give him, they're not gonna give you you're gonna subpoena the application,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't do a UCC 1, UCC 3 on it, but you're still claiming it's fraud in
Bro.
arbitration.
Bro.
Right.
Bro.
Let me slow down.
Bro.
Yeah.
You're on the right thing, but you don't understand. I told you you had to do a
Yeah.
UCC 1 and 3 for original contracts, didn't I?
Right.
This is an old contract. Yeah, I told y'all, if y'all gonna be doing old contracts going for those securities, you're gonna have to go to court and fight for it. That's what they're doing now. This is actually gonna be part 2 of the banking seminar. I'm giving y'all a little bit in the beginning. So when I do the seminar or the webinar, y'all are gonna comprehend what I'm teaching y'all. I always got to give you a snippet beforehand. You understand?
Okay. So I'll stay tuned. To be continued. Sounds great.
Yeah.
I was thinking that they were gonna push it back out to court from arbitration, or
how can they? See,
that's what
let me explain this to you. Let me explain this to you real quick, right? If they don't want to give up the contract, right, which is the application, right? Guess what? They can't collect shit. They have to bring the application in to prove that there is an agreement that says they got to pay. You understand? You can't collect on a debt without showing the agreement where I agreed to be a debtor.
All right, man. That's fire. That's fire.
Welcome to part 2.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah.
Chucky Tronics. It sounds like you're gonna need a consultation with me, and you're gonna have to work close with me. You're on YouTube. For me to walk you through the proper steps, and don't be beefing when I'm cussing your ass out, making sure you understand shit, because that's what the fuck I do. That's how you win. That's how I make sure all you motherfuckers win. Because y'all don't be understanding it the way I do. So I'm going to make sure you do. I'll verbally beat your ass up until you get it. I will treat you like you are my child and I'm your daddy. And take your best interests in my hands, and we're going to get the win. Now, if you are sissified and emotional, don't get no consultations with me. Try to do it on your own. I don't want to hurt your feelings. But in my point of view, fuck your feelings. I'm paid to make you win. That's what I do. I'm not here to fucking for you to like my method. My method works. I'm not here to coddle your emotions like your mother would do. I'm a man. Daddy does not coddle feelings. And if he does, it's probably for his daughter. Definitely not for a boy. That's all I'm saying. All right, then. That's all you had for me, caller?
Wait, I have one question, real quick question on the trust. There's board of trustees. Can we list like 3 trustees or 2 trustees?
Why would you want to have that many trustees?
Well, I wanted to take position as trustee
understand. Hold on. See, this is what I mean. Y'all still don't know enough. Y'all don't know enough. Y'all ain't been studying the webinar on the Express Trust, part 1, part 2, part 3, right? Why do I say that? Because I showed you the IRS manual. The IRS manual says if one or two more people that can control the trust are American citizens, it is a domestic trust that can be controlled by the court system.
Mm.
So you
being
don't
a
want to
trust
have
protector-
no trustee that's American citizen. You don't want a trustee with a social security number. You don't want none of that shit.
Mm.
So no,
Okay.
that's not the move, nigga. If you would have went back and studied the actual webinar, you
Well-
would have seen that and understood that. So I say you
No,
probably
I-
looked at it, but you need to study it more. You don't have all the information.
What I was trying to add in was the name of the foreign trustee. That's what I was really trying to do.
What you
at the
need to do
beginning.
then, if you need to know how to do that, you need to get a consultation, and I will give you the paperwork to put your foreign trustee in.
Oh, okay. All right. That'll work.
I have all that done. Like I said, inside the webinar for the Express Trust, I said that in the webinar. You did not absorb the information that's in that webinar. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I
Okay.
know that
That's
because
exactly what you said. All right.
of the questions you're asking me. That's how I know you didn't get it. There's more information there. You got to study the webinars. It's a lot of information in there. All right, I'm going to the next caller. 850-630. Peace to the God. Peace.
Peace to the God, John Bay.
What up, God?
All is well. Were you and the family?
Excuse me?
Is all well with you and the family?
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm wonderful, magnificent, and great.
Great.
And they
great,
are
great.
too.
Good to hear that, God. Hey, Jonah B, how are you looking on your consultations?
Great.
Good, bro. All right. Yeah. Hey, look out for Christopher D. Harris L. But I got a quick question for you because I'm in the middle of a process. And
Okay.
most definitely, I got to get a consult for you.
Okay.
Hey, but I was digging in the crates. Hey, oh yeah, for sure. I was digging in the crates, and I heard the brother say that, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think I heard you say that we needed to have the when we submit that injunction that it needs to be on 8.5 by 14. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And that's just the Florida injunction only, and not the James Brown, right?
Now I put injunctions on 8x14.
Okay. Now, okay, and my next question: are we sending off the wet ink notary copy as well? Is that
I make my first copy wet ink, get it notarized, all of that wet ink, and then I make color copies of all of it. So everything looks like
the
original.
first set? Oh, okay, but send off that first round wet ink.
I just
Is that
said
correct?
I take one, I make one copy, which is original wet ink, and then I make all the rest of the copies are from that copy, and they're all color. So everything is original.
Right. Okay. Everything is original. And then, and Jonah, check this out. I don't know if you can, most definitely, I'm going to order that consultation. But I got everything worked out where I got all 17 of them notarized at the same time, right?
Yeah, that was expensive and that wasn't necessary, but it's all good.
Hey, but you know what? They're not on the 8.5 by 14. So what can I do, if anything?
Well, you could take one of those originals and make a color copy on 8x14 paper. But the bottom of the 8x14 will still be missing words.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Try to put it on the 8x14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then just go from there. Okay. Put it on the 8.5 by the 14.
Y'all got to understand, 8x14 is legal, a legal document, and it's for what? Contracts. When you go buy a house, it's on 8x14. You go buy a car,
Okay.
it's on 8x14.
Right.
The sticker, they call
It's
it
on
the
8x14.
sticker price. The sticker price is right on the window, and
Right.
it's 8x14.
Yeah, that long piece of paper.
Yes. The
Yeah,
credit
okay,
card
okay,
application, if you open up the full credit card application, it is 8x14.
Right, that's right. Okay, hey Jonah. Okay, now on the James Brown. Okay, I got some clarity on the injunction, and I think some of the newbies got some clarification on that, because I was definitely digging in the crate, and I heard you say, hey, don't forget to put your injunction on the 8.5x14. But let me ask you this right quick. On the James Brown, I got everything together for the James Brown, right? We're not mailing that we're not mailing that unless that's the way that we want to serve the opposing party. Is that
Right.
correct? Other than that, we can just walk that in. Okay.
No,
And
not
then serve
really.
who we
Not
need.
really. Not really. See, y'all, I
What do you
went
mean, not
over
really?
all the federal rules of procedures, right? How the fuck are they going to answer you if you walk it in that day?
Would you e-file it? That's all. That's an
I
option.
mail it.
Right. Yeah, that's my other option. Mailing. Yeah, I got a mailing in this time, Jonah.
I mail it
I'll explain
beforehand.
it to you.
I mail it beforehand.
Yeah.
They need time to look at it and reply.
Okay. Right. Mail it in. Okay. That's a safe route. Okay. Yeah, mail that joint in.
And you also
Okay.
have a
On the regular
registered mail receipt if you mail it in. Proof it got there.
Okay. Registered mail. Got it. And that's to all parties, to all concerned parties, right?
Yep.
Registered mail. Okay. Okay, that's to all parties. Okay. And let's see, Jonah. Okay, I'm working on my okay. Hey, I'm in route of sending my birth certificate off to the federal level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, in that packet, okay, I have a notarized affidavit of ownership, and I also have
you did it wrong.
Okay, what's going on, Jonah?
You ain't supposed to have that affidavit. They're gonna send it back and say they can't authenticate it. You only supposed to have sent the birth certificate.
Okay, only send them the state authenticated birth certificate.
Yes,
okay.
And when it comes back, then you add your affidavit of ownership.
Okay, all is well on that. Okay, so when it's going up to Sterling, Virginia, you only send off your state authenticated birth certificate, and then that DS 4194.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
All right, and then all is well with them.
90 seconds.
Okay. Now, what I have to figure out is
you better hurry up. Time is up.
Right, no doubt. Hey, Jonah, check this out. I got notarized documents already filled up. How can I solve that?
I don't know what you mean by that.
I got everything addressed with the metered and certified.
You're going to have to open it up and take that affidavit out.
60 seconds.
Right. Yeah. And plus, I'm still trying to use the same stamps on there.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. You can tape that back close. But anyway, thanks for calling in. I'll talk to you later on this week when you call in.
No doubt. Sure.
All right. Peace, God. Hey, Marlon, thanks for coming in, giving your testimony and your win in regular court. Now we're going to win in arbitration court as well and get that money. All right. Thanks for the people for tuning in tonight. That's our show for tonight. I'll see y'all again Wednesday. We got the private bill Tuesday. If y'all want to be a part of the private bill, send an email to jonahbate@gmail.com. And I will forward the email so you can be on the private bill. Peace.
10 seconds.
We are out of here.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, Facebook, thanks for tuning in. I will see y'all again later. Peace to the God. You too. Hope y'all enjoyed. We out of here. Like I said, we got the private bill tomorrow, and then I'm back again Wednesday. See you then. Peace to the gods. I'm out of here.